everyone, welcome once again, Pure Dead PlayStation. I am Dony. I am very hungover, but we're going to do this. We're going to get through tonight, and we're going to have some fun. We're talking PS5 Pro again, potential state of plays, prices, what's it going to be? Astrobot is out this week. Exciting, hopefully. Outlaws has been out. I want some thoughts and impressions. Spoiler free. Do not worry. To do all that, I need two guests. Joe and Kirk, gentlemen, welcome. How are you both?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, very good, man. Very good. Thank you.
I am. I'm happy to be here, but unfortunately, I'm sick. I'm getting sick. So, but yeah, we figured we'd throw it together as we usually do. We figure out a way for this show. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you do actually sound quite throaty, to be fair. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear it when you said that now.
Yeah, now you
pause.
sound congested. Beforehand, you sounded like, again, 17 instead of looking. What did you say? 13,
16.
14? Yeah.
Yeah, my age is a mystery for those online.
I can't wait till we
polo's
find
not
out you're
helping.
actually
They
45.
call me Benjamin Button.
Yeah, no. I gotta tell you, the polo's not helping. The polo's actually, I feel like
Yeah,
making it
but
worse.
if I wear like button up shirts, then I just look stuffy, and then if I wear like a regular T-shirt, I don't look as good. So,
It's just,
you
you
just
have to
can't
look like
win.
you're part of the young Republicans.
It's
you know?
okay. God, he makes us all sick. Yeah, you got that one wrong, I'm afraid. But
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much the opposite, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
listen,
Yes.
I
according
get it.
to
You're
Fluffers,
16.
okay, I
You're
make
young.
everyone
You're libertarian right now, but it'll happen.
By the way, who made the intro song? It's quite good. It's quite catchy.
Yeah, it's good.
I can't remember. It's in the podcast credits actually. I could check. Yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it? Yeah, there's a couple of versions. That's more the sort of
It's a good one.
speeded up one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's good.
Craig's been
Sounds
using it
nice.
on the main pod. I think not from the start, but pretty early on they've been using that. So
Squiddy says, "Who is hungover at 6:30 p.m. on a Monday night?"
yeah, Squinty yesterday was a good day. Not good if you're a
Celtic-
Rangers fan.
Celtic 3-0 against Rangers, right?
Absolutely, man. It was a great day.
Get in
Long
there.
day. Drinking vodka from 7 in the morning is oh yeah. You know
Very
what kind
nice.
of day you're gonna have. So yeah, so I worked from home today. So good.
Gotcha.
But we're here to chat games. And I didn't put it in the show notes, but did you guys see there was kind of more layoffs today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think Insider Gaming, I find this a bit strange. They've shown that there's been layoffs at Ballistic Moon already. I mean, the Until Dawn remake's not even out yet. I mean, that's not a good look. I think it was 4 people have posted on their LinkedIn. That's how they find the info, and then obviously Suicide Squad didn't do very well. Did it, Kirk?
Nope, it didn't.
At least they survived. Listen, the team survived, or the studio survived, I should say. Which is
I mean,
maybe
it dang well better. I mean, they've made some incredible games, so that would
Yeah.
be very short-sighted if they were to. I mean, if you were to talk about Rocksteady getting shut down, like back when they released Arkham Knight, I mean, people would have rioted. So
Yeah.
it's just that the executives need to stop having really good
Jobs.
studios that have proven track records of making certain kinds of games and are very talented at it, repurposing them to make something completely different. Like if they want to do that, then great, and that's supposedly what happened. I don't know if I buy into that, but yeah, I mean it's unfortunate that a lot of these games, the project got started a long time ago, and they put a lot of effort into it, and it was kind of conceived in that time period of like what was popular, and now people just aren't about it. So
Yeah.
It's what happens. Like part of it is something has to give with long development cycles. Something has to give when it comes to the expectations that these suits have to the games that they release. Because look, Concord was 8. It took 8 years to make that game. And even as a fan of that game, as someone who's enjoyed it, I don't know how that happens.
I'm a fan
just looking
too.
at it and playing it.
There are so
Thank
few
you,
of
Kirk.
us.
There's
There are so few
dozens
of
of
us out
us.
there. Yeah.
Dozens
Everyone,
There are
of us.
literal
everyone who
dozens.
bought the game's enjoying it though. That's the thing. Everyone who
Right.
bought the game's enjoying it. But then if you know if you played the demo, then you knew what you were buying. So I like to think
Yeah.
it'd be very strange if you played the demo, enjoyed that enough to buy it, and then went, I don't like this game. But what do you think you
Yeah.
played a week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I gave it an 8.5. I need to get my script into Craig so he can post it so it can count and probably elevate it a whole point
Yeah, a little
because
bit.
of
You
how
don't want that
terrible
smoke,
the
Kirk.
other reviews are.
You don't want that smoke.
Oh, he did. No, he got abuse. Joe.
Yeah,
Kirk
I've already
Kirk got
I've
abuse
already
for
I've already
giving it an
eaten
8.5.
a bowl of I'm sure Donnie can come up with some Scottish euphemism. I've already eaten a bowl
The
of
slowest people on the internet have a problem. That's what I take into account. No, listen, going back to like something like the Suicide Squad, a game that I also enjoyed. I don't know, maybe my
that's
taste
mad.
has changed.
That's absolutely mad.
I platinumed it.
You
I
are
thought it
wild
was-
for that,
wow.
sir.
I know the
That
story's
is-
not good. I just like the gameplay. I don't know, but like even for that game, man, why the one thing that I keep on getting hung up by is like, why take these studios that have no pedigree in making live service games and then make them make live service games, right? And then have them waste their time on those service games, right?
To
So,
that
like,
end, Veilguard looks so good. Like you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. And Anthem obviously flopped. Like imagine if they'd have been making a Veilguard instead of Anthem. Like it's like once you let them back into their wheelhouse, they start to shine again. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So it's just it's very frustrating to watch, but again it also comes down to how do we, and this is for someone much smarter than I, but like then how do you take these teams and go, okay, we can't spend 6 years making this game. It needs to go back down to a good 3 or 4. Like
Yeah.
the fact that we may get a Naughty Dog game on PS5. We don't know that for certain. It should be a crime. As we're like,
Yeah.
the PS3 era, we had some amazing Naughty Dog games. Well, like 4? Like there was just so, and those games were quality. So I feel like there may need to be some kind of teaching the audience again that, hey, listen, these games are worth a premium, but also their scope is lessened. Not every game needs a huge, big open world. Not every game do you need to see the pores on everyone's face. Those games exist and they're fun, but not every game needs to be that, because not this industry, at least the AAA part of it, cannot survive off of 8-year development, and maybe the game's an 8.
Yeah, I mean, eight years with 100 people. You just take an average. I mean, that's $100 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Roughly. I mean, we're splitting hairs if it was 90 but it wasn't 20 million. So it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
And that game's a massive flop. But yeah, but listen, it's not good to see once again more layoffs. I find that Ballistic Moon one quite crude. I mean, the game is not even out yet, and we're already paying people off. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's not a good look. I see Kevin George in the chat, and Kirk has a question for you from Dustin. He's asking, did you finish Final Fantasy 16?
Oh, you muted.
Oh, you're on mute.
I never played 16, so I don't know if he just assumed that I did, but no, I've not played it. That's Final Fantasy is a series that I'm woefully behind on, unfortunately. Mostly just because they're very lengthy games, and I kind of had to, like, between Persona and Yakuza or Like a Dragon now and Final Fantasy, unless you have an infinite amount of time, you kind of have to pick which one you're going to invest in. And I went the Like a Dragon route because I really liked what I saw of Like a Dragon, the first one, and Ichiban, and I'm happy with that, having invested in that series. I still need to play all the way through Infinite Wealth, so like after that it's Persona, and then finally I guess I'll be able to go and play a bunch of Final Fantasy games. I've dabbled in some of the older Final Fantasies, but those are some games like 15 and 16 are really games that like I want to savor and enjoy, because I really enjoy the Kingdom Hearts series, and obviously there's like a lot of crossover there. There's some design ethos that crosses over as well. So yeah, I want to take my time with those, and the whole like Game of Thrones adjacent kind of aesthetic and storytelling and like characters. Oh man, I'm so ready for that. But just only have so much time, and it's that weird thing where you mentally psych yourself out because you're like, oh, I know I want to spend like 80 hours with this, and you may have that much time, but you're like, I'll go play 4 games that are only 20 hours. It's like the thing of like, you're like, I'm not gonna watch a 2-hour Marvel movie. I'll just watch YouTube, and then you end up watching 2 hours of YouTube. Like, it's kind of like that. So I kind of shoot myself in the foot in that regard with like some really good games. It took me a while to even play The Witcher 3 because of that.
Oh wow.
I still haven't beaten The Witcher 3, but and that's the thing.
I haven't
with
beaten
Witcher 3,
The Witcher 3.
Fair. With Witcher 3 and Final Fantasy 16, they're both great games. I know that. I forget why I stopped playing both of them, because I was enjoying my time with both. The one thing with Final Fantasy with me is I find their level design lacking. And like I feel like they're decades behind in terms of like I really feel like I'm in a level and I'm not in a world, and that's my issue I find with them. But yeah, not a huge Final Fantasy guy. I know I run a PlayStation show, but that's Kyle's department. That's not me. I've beaten Final Fantasy 7 Remake though, and I've really enjoyed it. I have not. I'm gonna be honest. Here's my hot take. Have not enjoyed Rebirth. Too many mini games. And I
come
just
on.
saw myself out.
You're like, cut him
I don't know.
off,
I
cut
don't
him
know
off.
anything about it, but
I know.
my prediction
I
is that it won't win Game of the Year. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
My prediction is that it won't win Game of the Year. That's all. It's gonna be nominated. It's gonna be nominated, and it'll be nominated for RPG. It may win RPG, but my prediction is that Rebirth will not win Game of the Year. I mean, I think it'll be Astrobot, but
yeah, good shout. Yeah.
Balatro's not going to win Game of the Year. Balatro is amazing, but it's not going to win Game of the Year. I love Balatro. Did you see the trailer for all that DLC? It's insane.
I know.
It looks amazing. I cannot wait.
Do you see even your whole personality just lifted?
We're going to be friends. We've already determined. We both like Concord. You like Suicide Squad, which is like insane, but like I love it, like I respect it, and then like we both love Balatro. Like obviously we're gonna have to be friends after this.
That's the thing. Absolutely.
So, should I leave? Should I just give you two a room?
Give us a room.
Just go.
Clear off.
I'll just go. You two can just chat about shit games all night.
Oh no!
Watch your mouth.
No.
Watch your mouth.
Oh.
When Kirk mentioned Astrobot, he's like, Astrobot. But when I mentioned Balatro, look at the light that just entered Kirk's whole being.
Amazing game.
That's what we need. It's amazing. I have over 140 hours, I think, at this point in it.
Donnie, speaking of shit games, according to you, we're getting one on PlayStation Plus Essential tomorrow.
Oh my god, that Quidditch game, man! Holy.
Which I said on a friend of the show, friend of Pure Dead Gaming, Reforged Gaming. I said on Reforged Gaming that was a sports game. It's a sports game. All right. I did the research.
Game.
I looked at the tape. I looked at what the game is. It's a sports game.
That's not a sports game. That's not.
It's absolutely 100% a sports game.
Okay, listen.
It's 100% in the same way that Rocket League is a sports game. It's a sports game.
It's not a sports game.
It absolutely is. You are playing a sport the entire time. And the crazy thing about it is they're not going to have any microtransactions, which that blows my mind. Like I that thing was going to print money. And so the idea that they're selling it basically only on PC and Xbox, I guess in theory there might be a lot of people that either don't have PS Plus or don't like there a lot of times, like probably even we miss the collection period for like a given month, and we're like, oh man, I didn't hit add or whatever. My friends do that all the time, like, did you grab this last month? Like I wanted to try it, and they're like, oh no, I missed it. So like in theory maybe people would miss it, but then they're probably not gonna buy it if they missed it. So like that's pretty mind-boggling to me that it's basically like a sports game light, like sports adjacent thing where you're just playing Quidditch. That's all, and like you have like a personal career, like same as like doing like be a pro career in EAFC or something. And you just go up the ranks, you go through Hogwarts, and you go to the World Cup and everything, and like that's it. You're just like unlocking stuff in the game, like better broomsticks, outfits, and stuff. And like there's no like microtransactions or anything. So that was that was surprising to me. I didn't think that that's what that game was.
Can I be honest? This is a good joke I'm lining up here. This is what the woke mob should have blacklisted. You had a good chance at this one. Hogwarts Legacy, no shot.
Yeah, no chance.
This, You gotta
Yeah.
roll the dice, brother. Like, this is good.
Yeah. It's
Um,
this. I mean, it looks terrible, man.
it
On
looks.
Joe,
I
tell
don't
me I'm right.
agree.
Tell
So
me
did
I'm
you
right.
guys ever play the what was it? Harry Potter Quidditch World
No.
Cup from like 2002
No,
on the
So, Kirk,
GameCube
here's
and
one
other
thing.
no,
consoles. It's
absolutely
basically a
not.
remake of that game, and that game was fantastic.
No.
So I'm gonna tell you a story. I didn't watch any Harry Potter until after Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
So after, like, I played Hogwarts.
So Hogwarts
and
Legacy made you a fan.
yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, oh wow, this world's really good. Like, it. I want to see what this is about. And then what I did was, because I get it. Was I found a way and a means to obtain those movies. Let's just say I went to the library.
Very
Without
legally,
JK
in a very legal method.
Very legal.
You procure them very highly legal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I watched them. I was like, this shit's kind of dope. Like, I'm like,
Come on, you're a grown ass man. You can't say that as a grown ass man. Joe.
Wingardium Leviosa, motherfucker! Like-
exactly.
Oh my actual god.
It's Olivia.
Oh, I am
Olivia
regretting
Song.
this episode already. Unbelievable.
good.
Like,
It's a good time.
It's good stuff, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Dumbledore's
So-
my boy. Like,
so if
Dumbledore,
you
that
have-
fight in the fifth movie,
Love in your heart for that franchise, like the movies, the books, and especially if you played those games as a kid. And this might bleed over into another topic we're gonna have about like, franchises that grew very popular with movies, and then they had some games come out in the late '90s, early 2000s that were like questionable in terms of quality. But there's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of memories there. Specifically for me, like with the Sorcerer's Stone game and the Chamber of Secrets game, and then the Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup game. And so like that Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup game, like I've played that probably even as recent as 2 years ago. Like booted that up on the GameCube and had that hooked up with like HD amplifiers and stuff to like make it look good on my TV. And like I just love sitting down and playing with that because it's a fantastic game. Like if you're like a fan of Harry Potter and you're a fan of games like, I don't know, like FIFA or Mario Strikers or something, that's basically what it is. Like, it's just a weird sport that doesn't exist, and it's very fun to engage like with that world if you like care about it. And so like for them to remake that on modern consoles is very cool. Like, I'm glad that they're doing that, and they're only charging $30 and there's no microtransactions. I don't know how that's going to be sustainable. I don't know how much money they put into that and how much they plan to make, but fair play, I guess. It seems like it's another Concord situation to me, but I don't know.
I think that should be the red flag when they have a live service-esque game but no live service element. Maybe goes, okay, anybody just come in here, right? And like, to go off what you're saying too about Quidditch, I'll say this: this is a hot take as a huge Star Wars fan. Quidditch, right here, okay. Pod racing, not even close, guys.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. The
Wow.
Quidditch scenes, the Quidditch scenes, I was like, this is actually really good for the time. And then like the pod racing scenes, I'm gonna be honest, it's been decades since I watched.
My
it.
only response to that is
Exactly.
like
my
iconic.
Oh my actual god! What, Joe? What did you think of the rest of the PS Plus month? I think was it MLB The Show and Little Nightmares 2. I think it was kind of a miss month, to be honest with you. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're not
MLB
getting
is
Quidditch.
is great. MLB is a great
but it's
game.
a year, it's a year-old sports game, isn't it? Which
Yeah, but
will serve
I'm
a
always in
market for
favor
an
of those
hour.
going out free in some way because I think that there should be a way. So if we advise people, hey, don't go out and buy these every year, which we do, I think all three of us probably do, like it's a bit of a scam for people, then there probably needs to be a way to acquire them later. And so with the EA ones, you can just be on Game Pass or on EA Play and you get them. So MLB is not an EA game. So like, I'm glad that PlayStation, it's theirs. It's published by Sony. So I'm glad that they're putting it on their PS Plus subscription and giving it to people for free. I mean, it's a quality game. Like MLB is probably one of the
Kyle
better,
loves them. My
one
co-host,
of the better sports franchises.
He loves MLB The Show. He is the guy that gets it every year. He loved 24, and I will argue for him, since he's not here, he was the first in the world to platinum MLB The Show 24.
Wow,
So
that's cool.
there you go. Put
That's quite
respect
the
on
achievement.
Kyle Stevenson.
Nice.
Dine
Well
was the
done,
first
yeah.
in the world to platinum Stellar Blade because he couldn't stop looking at Eve's butt cheeks.
That's fair enough.
That was a fun platinum.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
That was
I
an
love that
awful platinum. As
Absolutely.
somebody who's done it also.
It's a little tedious, but like I enjoyed it.
Very tedious.
Yeah, I love the
Yeah.
plots.
The plots.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, I wasn't
Multiple,
sure. I thought that,
multiple
yeah.
a pair of plots.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my god.
Yeah. I
got the jokes today, my friends.
You have. We got we'll call it sketches of the PS5 Pro, and I kind of wanted to kind of get your take on that because the jungle drums are certainly drumming loudly now that we're going to get something in the next fortnight, be it state of play, be it showcase, PS5 Pro announcement. I think these images. So am I right in saying that the leaker, who's getting a good bit of credibility, Bill Hill Coon, is it on Twitter?
Yeah.
He say that he's actually saw the box for the Pro and he sketched it off the box. I think that's what he says he's done. And therefore, obviously, to kind of take out any kind of copyright or potential leaks of where this information came from. So we see that's very similar to the current or newish shape and design, albeit with 3 Adidas stripes along the front of it, which is quite interesting. But I kind of wanted to get you guys' takes, and Joe, maybe you could jump in first. Kind of
Sure.
Pro excitement level for it, kind of where you think the price point's going to be now. We've just seen obviously the new Xbox launching, granted with no storage space, but see a pretty significant price jump, which may or may not affect the price of the Pro. And kind of state of play, assuming we've got one coming, what do you want to see at it? So there's quite a few questions there. So
Okay. All right. Let's tackle the Pro
go.
first. So the Pro, for me, I host a PlayStation show, so I need it. But I'm gonna be honest. If I was the average consumer, Kirk, don't you dare ruin a good thing. But if I was the average consumer,
I don't need it.
I don't need it, right? Like, I really don't. I don't see the true benefit of this console, because I think as a community we're still all burnt off the promises of what the PS5 and the Xbox Series were going to do, right? Remember, they're like, you'll never see a loading screen in your life. Those elevators, those tight corridors, you're never going to run into them again. 4K, 60, all this stuff, and we're still picking and choosing, right? And I think, between performance and quality, I think with the PS5 Pro, how are you going to show it to me and me go, oh, wow, that's what it does so much more differently than, my PS5. And that's why I need one as a hardcore consumer. That's the trick. Because right now I don't feel like I need it. Star Wars looks plenty fine as is. I'm not a stickler on FPS as I once was, or really never been. I know, Donnie, I know you are, but like not me. Like, I could pick performance mode and I'm fine. But like, as long as the choice is there. So they really have to show why I need this thing. And then they also have to price it appropriately, of which I trust PlayStation in. I don't trust them in the slightest of delivering that. They just rose the price in Japan, which I understand the reasons as to why, but it goes to show that next PlayStation is gonna look pretty pricey in a economic climate worldwide that I just don't think is going to support this in mass, which means how do they get developers to support it? And that's where I get kind of shaky on the Pro and how people are actually people going to actually pick this up? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you've made a good point, and we've kind of all said this, and we'll probably all agree that, it's not for the not average consumer. That's probably the wrong term to use, I think. But you have
it's for the enthusiast.
Yeah, it's for the enthusiasts, of which there are a lot of us for sure. But we're certainly the probably single digit in terms of player base. But then the PS4 Pro sold, they reckon, between 16 and 20 million, didn't it? From that Insomniac leak. From right in saying, I think it was around about that. Yeah, run about there. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, that's a good cut. I mean, that's 10% roughly of the entire PS4 gen. So if they're going to get that kind of numbers again, I think they'll be pretty happy with that. And I don't think developers have too much issue making a pro patch. Price wise, the really interesting one, Joe. I mean, Michael in the chat saying 650 would be my bet for price, which would probably be 699 in USD for you guys if that's the case. 650 just seems steep when you're at that price point, because I think again they'll market it without the disk drive clearly, which is what that images are showing. So I think 600 without a disc probably looks about right, but I don't know. You're right. You just don't know with Sony. Do you know what I mean? You just don't know. And with the price of that Xbox, would that affect them? Would that play in? Probably not. You can't really judge a pro on that increased Xbox just because it's got 2 terabyte storage and it's got a bit of glitter on the front. So yeah, the price point is going to be a real hot topic. What about you, Kirk?
Yeah, I'm still a bit undereducated and would need to figure out exactly how it works or what the value proposition for it is going to be. As far as I understand it, and this is just what I've been told, it's not going to function in the way that the PS4 Pro did, which I think also creates a little bit of consumer confusion. And I don't expect that's not going to be right for a great situation, I don't think, because whenever you have consumer expectations and then reality, and there's a gap between those things, we've seen that kind of turn into some negative energy before. But essentially, the PS4 Pro was all about boosting performance to the extent that you could have a game run in 4K and you could get a consistent 30 frames, or you could have a game run at 1080p and you could get a consistent 60 frames. And this seems more like it's about improving like the quality of the game in the way that it's running already. Like, I don't know that we're going to see a drastic jump in frame rate just because you put a PS5 game in this machine. And so it's a little bit different from the big jump that we saw in the Pro. And I don't know if it's going to fix... Basically, I think one of the things about the PS4 cycle is we didn't have this kind of apparent gap between where we thought games should be and where they were. Like, we were kind of just like, oh, games are not 4K, and typically they don't run at 60 frames all the time. Like, that was just something, like, we knew that Call of Duty ran at 60 frames locked. We knew that other games ran at 60 frames locked. But to have a game that was, like, not falling down into the 50s, I think was, like, kind of rare. And we had a lot of games that were just capped at 30. Like, that's just the way it was in, like, 2014, 2015, 2016. Games were just capped at 30. That was normal for console. And so then offering 4K on top of 30, offering higher frame rate, like, those were benefits that were kind of just like net positive. Whereas right now, you have people perceiving kind of to what Mr. Badbit was talking about. They were sold what this product was going to be, what this console machine was going to be in terms of the output, where they were going to be able to experience games at. And that was basically every game is going to be 60 frames, and a lot of times they're going to be in the 4K range. And we haven't seen those things coupled together, and we definitely haven't seen those things in isolation on a consistent basis. Like, we were told we were going to get 60 frames per second at native 4K. And a lot of the time, we don't get native 4K or 60 frames per second. So I think the difference is that in this case, people are expecting the performance boost and the image boost that we got from the Pro, which everybody remembers fondly because it was just a net positive. Like, we were where we were, and then it made it better. And we were like, oh, better is better. Like, everybody just remembers that in a positive light. But now it's like we need to catch up to like an ideal that's out there that we never actually got to. Like, the train never reached its destination. And so people are like, that's going to get us there. And I think the reality is that it's not going to. And that's going to make that product not worth it to people, because they're thinking, I would pay this money for a product that does this. And Sony PlayStation is going to be like, well, it doesn't do that. It does this much, but it doesn't do that. And people are going to be like, okay, well, I don't want that. I want the thing that does that. So when you make that, I'll go buy it. So I think you're either going to have people that aren't interested in the product because they've learned the extent to which it does what it does, and you're gonna have people that are interested in it buy into it, and then they figure out that it doesn't do what they thought it was gonna do, and that's either because of confusion or because they didn't do enough research or they didn't do their due diligence. Either way, I think the reception of it is going to be neutral to negative. Like, I don't think it's going to be an overwhelmingly positive reception, and that amounts a lot to just like where games are at in terms of their performance, and the fact that like we have a situation that like people perceive as needing to be fixed. Like, that's our status quo right now. And so given that this device seemingly is not going to fix that thing, you could argue it doesn't need to be fixed. You could argue that games are fine, but like people are perceiving that like games are not where they should be in terms of their performance. I think like Donnie and I probably even agree that that's like kind of the case, at least on a marginal scale. And so like if this machine doesn't do that, its value proposition goes way down for a lot of people. So it'd be interesting to see like how people receive that and where the product lands in terms of the public perception.
Yeah. No, I think that's good points, to be fair. Game wise, let's assume that the announcement comes with a state of play or a showcase.
Okay.
What games, Joe, are you kind of hoping to see? Are you hoping to see everything? Do you think it'll be? Do you think it'll be tapered down a little bit? What I mean, because we are due to see some stuff from our first party studios. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you think. Yes, we are.
We keep saying that for the past year, and we keep getting.
We're due. We're due now. We're getting there. We're due.
There. Okay.
We're due.
So, okay. Here's my theory. PlayStation has successfully Nintendo'd. They have the market space, they have the market share. They don't feel, I would think, all too rushed to have a big, huge showcase. In fact, I think they probably want to take the showcase moniker and throw it out the window and just say, hey, state of plays. This is where it all is now, right? And so, with that said, I think they're more interested in showing you what is a year or two out rather than showing you what is, 1 to 4 years out, like with the PS4. So, manage your expectations. I mean, we're definitely going to get Death Stranding. That was shown at length in February. We see media's already getting their hands on something Kojima related. So we can assume Death Stranding's on the menu.
Yeah.
Though it could be Xbox's thing, who knows? But PlayStation has a strong presence at the Tokyo Game Show. So I think that's where you probably show Ghost of Tsushima 2 as well.
Yeah.
And that you'll probably get Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Death Stranding, and then here's what this PlayStation 5 Pro can do and enhance some of the games that we already love to show whatever it's called, the PSSR functionality.
PSR.
If there is a god, and they do exist, and it's a malevolent supreme being, we would also see Wolverine as well. Again, who knows if that happens?
What's reportedly coming first, Wolverine or Marvel's Venom? I've gotten that wrong before.
Who knows, man? I mean, so the Insomniac slate is kind of... We're supposedly getting a Spider-Man patch this fall. And then maybe Wolverine comes out first, but that's been maybe delayed. So it really is like a roll of the dice.
That's going to be 2026 for me. We're not seeing that next year. No chance. No chance. To be fair, Joe, I'm surprised you didn't say what James Fluffers in our chat has said. Bloodborne 60 FPS patch day 1 on PS5 Pro, Joe. It's happening. Keep dreaming, mate. Keep dreaming.
James,
You'll see Silk Song before you see that thing, man.
I've been beaten and battered so many times, James. It won't stop me from making the summoning circle, but I'm as less enthusiastic as ever. Listen, we'll get a Bloodborne. I truly believe we will get a Bloodborne project one day.
I think so too.
But if we get a PlayStation 5 Pro PSSR, like that's one of the games showcased, sign me up. Sign me up. That's all I needed to see. I'm gonna go out there. I'll buy a PS5 Pro just to get Bloodborne running at a solid 60 FPS in old Yarnum.
Just for Bloodborne. Just for worth
Just
it.
for
Just for
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, huh?
God, yes.
Yeah.
God, yes.
Kirk, any games you think we might see? Anything to add to that?
Next coming out next year.
Well, no, just what we might see at this supposed state of play. Again, it's all just rumors just now and a lot of assumption.
No, I'm not sure. I mean, that's the thing. They've been pretty quiet, right? They do like to work with Capcom a lot. Like State of Play usually has some sort of Capcom announcement. And it's been Resident Evil a lot of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see, it may not be this upcoming one, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see whatever it is that comes next from Resident Evil at a PlayStation show. And then the other thing too is, isn't that Pragmata game from Capcom?
Pragmata that we heard about pre-launch. Where's that?
Or the one with the like sorry, the note or whatever.
Yeah.
It looked very like Kojima. It looked very Death Stranding to me.
Yeah.
With the little girl and stuff. I don't know where that game's at, but it's another one that we don't know.
Yeah.
And so that could show up in some capacity. I mean, to be fair, their whole thing then was like, we want to share more, but we can't, so we will soon. So it's not that they would necessarily have to be like, the game's coming out like in 6 months. Like they could be like, all right, here's the game, because we couldn't show it before, and that was like a big disappointment. You could argue that they shouldn't do that, but they kind of sort of promised that they would do that with like the weird note IOU thing or whatever. So I could totally see them showing off some sort of splice gameplay of that in the showcase. Not that game would be coming out even necessarily next year. Other than
that game's pushing. Game must be pushing 7 years development time then. Because that was slated to be out early
new standard,
PS5 time,
right?
It's a new standard, yeah. Worked for Concord.
Other than that, the other thing is fair games, right? If they're still going forward with fair games, we'll see it
they're
there.
all in. Yeah, they're all in.
We'll see it there if they're doing fair games. Well, I'm sure we'll see that at the state of play. But I mean, there's always room for the occasional surprise. If they are working on another God of War project, if they're working on another Horizon project, they could do a little stinger for that, like they did with Ragnarok, where they just showed the logo with the music. We could see something like that, but I don't think we're going to see anything that's far along or that's coming out in the near future anytime soon.
Don't want to anyway. I think Joe, you made a good point, and I've said this before. Like, I'm sick of seeing stuff that's 2-3 years away. Just show me stuff that's due in the next 18 months tops. It's not coming out. We'll call it by Christmas 2025. Don't want to see it. Not interested. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I think that, and I think that's also the better play. As much as like, show me Bloodborne, whatever, but like, I think it's a better play to go, hey, listen, this is the stuff we are very confident is coming out. Not either give us the concepts of things to hire more people, or give us like sprinkle those in, or give us the, hey, listen, this is coming out next year. It's called Death Stranding 2. And there's a guy that shoots people with an electric guitar, and you think that's lame, but it's actually the coolest shit you'll have ever seen in your life. And there's a little puppet man, and you want to know what he's about.
Anything stop motion.
God, just give me that game. I'm so stupidly hyped for it. That's, I think, what we want. We want to see the roadmap, right? We're looking at the Xbox crowd and go, wow, listen. As much as Phil Spencer talks, their showcase this year, I'd love me just an ounce of that, because it's a.
What do you mean announcement? You're getting the whole lot anyway. I wouldn't fucking worry about it, mate. You're getting the whole damn lot, mate.
I mean, we saw the future games.
It's all coming.
I get it. I get it. But like, dude, if I was an Xbox fan, I'm like, yes, this is awesome, and it's all coming to Game Pass, all that stuff. I want an ounce of that, just an appetizer. Give me stuff that I know is going to get me excited for PlayStation the next year and a half. Waited too long. We got Fair Games and Concord, and let's look how
Fair Games might be all right. I quite like the concept of it. To be fair, I was more positive.
Absolutely not. There's no way game lands well. Just look at
listen,
how
man.
people received Payday 3, like a well-known franchise that people
Yeah, but that
love.
game was shit though, and it's
Oh,
it's
and
so
Fair Games isn't gonna
horrendously
be.
optimized.
Oh
No,
yeah,
no, I
Fair
mean,
Games is gonna be a 10 out of 10 for sure.
no,
right out
as
of
in
right
the
out of
game
the
doesn't
cannon.
run well at all. You know, like Payday 3 doesn't even run well. Do you know what I mean? It's a poor game. You know, so
We'll see. I mean, to me, the biggest problem with PlayStation right now, when it comes to their live service stuff, is they are so bipolar as to like how they are going to support these games, and they're
Yeah.
doing a real bad job supporting these games because they are not a live studio, publisher. So like, look at Helldivers, great, sold extremely well. I think that's a victory enough, but like, it's struggling right now to keep those players. Concord, it's struggling to attract players. Fair Games, I don't listen. I'm always open-minded to every game, and especially one that I've only seen like a CG trailer for the most part.
Yeah.
But I think PlayStation needs to learn its lesson of like some games are better when they're free to play. And I think Fair Games, if it is a multiplayer PvP extraction shooter, for the love of God, I will shake Shuhei if I have to. Make that thing free to play.
Yeah.
Put that on everything. Put it on Xbox. I don't care. It needs a mass audience around it. So
Can you shake Shuhei and get him to put Concord on PS Plus for October?
I hope. And that's where we're headed right now.
Yeah.
So we can only hope.
Listen, it'll be half price at Christmas. Don't worry about it. It's $20. You know.
That's fine. Where is my case? 1 second. I'm gonna bring out my case. Yeah, I need to show it some love.
Oh yeah, you've got the control. Yeah. And well, until Joe comes back, Dustin in the chat says Spider-Man 2 comes to PC announcement. Probably a little bit premature, Dustin. I think there. Certainly next year we're going to get that, but yeah, it's not going to be too far away. And yeah, that game's going to.
We're supposed to be getting like
stunning on PC.
Proper DLC for that game, like the city that never sleeps for the first one.
Yeah, there's going to be Carnage, isn't there? Oh, no, there's the box.
If you ever wanted to know an omen, I went to GameStop because I pre-ordered this, and I went, "Hey, can I have a copy of Concord?" Now, part of it is like, I get to trade this bad boy in. You know what I'm saying? The other part, he goes, "Yeah, let me find it." He pulls it out in the drawer. He goes, "You're in luck." I mean, I pre-ordered it. He's like, "You're literally, this is the sole copy of this game in the store." And I was like, "Well, that's a good sign." I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, because
like
they don't order anything anymore unless people pre-order it.
Yeah.
If it's a low key game. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Next up on Friday, we get potential, Kirk, you've already mentioned it, Game of the Year, Astrobot. Our Discord is insanely excited about this. Where's your kind of gut check on Astrobot? You guys pre-ordering it? You excited for it? I mean, you got review codes in at all?
I'm not in like that. I know I've seen a lot of people saying that they have review codes. So no, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
Detective
in with
Seed's got
Sony.
his in anyway.
Yeah.
I need
It's
to
a
talk
big
to
shot.
I need to talk to Detective Seeds. I need to know who his guy is because we are literally one of the most popular PlayStation podcasts on Apple and Spotify, and I'd like an email one of these days. Just a reply to an email one of these.
Oh
days,
yeah, try to get replies bad enough. Yeah.
1,200 reviews. Come on, guys. We're nothing. what I gotta do? Show a little leg for a little Astro? Fine.
Little leg.
Little leg. Whatever I can. No, I'm very excited. Like always, we always come in clutch when it comes to like reviews. So we'll have something. It just won't be from either Kyle and I. But I am through the roof. I am expecting this game because it's a PlayStation game to be an 88 when it comes out. But I am.
And a 7 from Push Square, right on the money.
Yeah, man. Let's go.
I would say 91.
I think it's going to be 93, 94. I think it's going to be right up there.
I want it to be.
94 is
right
getting into
up
like
there.
Zelda territory.
Yeah, I think it's going to be right up there, man. People adore Astrobot.
How much was Odyssey? How much was Odyssey? How high did that hit? Mario Odyssey.
Probably about 93. Let's see. On OpenCritic or Metacritic?
OpenCritic. Let's go OpenCritic.
Because that one's usually a bit lower.
Yeah. I like OpenCritic more than Metacritic. I don't know why. Ooh,
Same.
James,
It's more official.
wedding anniversary this week. I'll be spending it with Astro.
97. Holy moly.
Mario Odyssey? Okay, then yeah, no, Astro's definitely gonna get an 88, 90 tops. I believe
Nah,
in
you
the
guys are on the
Mario
low
Zelda
end there,
bias.
I
What?
think. Yeah,
No,
you're on
that
the
that
low
bumps me
end.
up to like a ceiling of 90, 94, I think.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Listen,
I think you're on the low end, Joe.
I'm uh, I'm ready to be wrong. I'm very optimistic, but I'm also cautious. Because again, that Mario bump is something. Because Odyssey, great game.
Mm.
Come on, my guys. Is it the best? No.
No.
The 3D to 2D switch, that stuff was cool, just not enough in it. New Dark City, really? Those people give me nightmares. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm not personally super excited about it. I've tried to get into that type of game, and like while I have a lot of nostalgia for like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, like playing games like that now, they just struggle to captivate me and like hold my attention the way they did when I was like younger. So I pretty much know that time has passed for me. Like I've tried like Sackboy before and ukulele and stuff like that, and like they're amusing for like an hour, and then I'm like, okay, let me go play like a real video game. And that's not to be like negative or like derogative. Like it's just how I'm feeling about that genre of game. Like at this stage, like I like something that is a little bit more engrossing, and I think also like the platforming, it doesn't engage my brain like the way that I would rather play like a Balatro or like a very intensive like thinking game than play a platforming game, I think. So if I'm not going, it's like I'd rather go heavy action or heavy brain, like heavy like really deducting and thinking about things. Maybe in like a Banishers or like Sherlock Holmes type game where you have to like really kind of navigate situations. The platforming stuff it's a little bit kiddie for me, but that doesn't mean that like I don't appreciate it and I don't. I mean, it's my prediction for Game of the Year, and I think it'll be well deserved. This is also in a climate for the Game Awards where It Takes Two won recently, so like we've seen a game of this ilk run all the way to the top before, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again, especially in like a very weak year, a very very weak year after last year we had so many blockbuster.
Oh, I think that's a weak year is a bit of a stretch,
No,
just
it's
because it's
not.
not as good as last year.
No, go look at
Oh,
Metacritic.
I think it's a bit harsh.
I
think it's a bit
mean,
harsh.
if you compare
we
this year to
care,
like 20,
we care, but I don't think it's been a weak year. It's been a really
if you
good
compare
year.
this year to like 2019, which by all accounts was considered to be a weak year at that time, a weaker year, let's say, Control and Sekiro were the best games to come out that year. I might be forgetting something. If I am, I apologize.
Concord, Fallen Order, Death Stranding, and yeah, what you
You said Concord. I don't think you meant.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God, why am I blanking on it? Control. Jesus, I said
Control.
Concord
Yeah,
instead of
Control and Sekiro,
Ooh,
obviously,
as
very
a
very
young
good
man,
games.
when you get as old as us,
I mean,
your memory starts
yeah.
going.
Control, Sekiro, Death Stranding, like I don't know if we've had a game come out this year that's better than any of those so far.
Balatro.
Oh well, Rebirth, I suppose. Rebirth.
Balatro.
Rebirth, yeah.
Yeah, but
But no,
it's not. Balatro is not going to win Game of the Year. Like it's just not.
you
Animal
gotta
Well is
believe.
in that conversation too. Like those are
Yeah.
just
I
not going to
will.
win Game of the Year. Like
It's been a
I
great
tell
year
you
for
what,
indies.
Kirk.
But,
yes, you're the
Yeah.
indie for sure. And Neva could sneak into the noms. It really
Yeah.
could. It could pull a Hades and get in there.
And guess
don't
who
be
put that on
surprised.
their fantasy draft? Me.
Nice.
This guy
Knock
right
that
You guys
one
got to
in.
let me in that next year. I want to do the
Oh,
fantasy
yeah.
critic.
That will make up the points that I lost on First Descendant.
Oh no! Hey, I gave it, Dottie. No wonder you were so invested in me giving it an 8. You were like, please give me some life support, please.
Yeah, I put First Descendant.
It's not a. That's a good.
Fucking
First said it's a
idiot.
good game.
Hey, it's a great game. It's a great game. Those scores are a disgrace, but we're not going to talk about that again because I've already bleated about that one. Kirk, the one thing actually, see Balatro, it might not get Jeff Keighley's, Game of the Year, but look out for the BAFTA.
And
BAFTA
DICE.
love to do,
And DICE.
They love to do obscure, like they gave Vampire Survivor Game of the Year, for example. So Balatro, BAFTA will represent that.
Balatro,
game.
Animal Well, and Neva are gonna go
Yeah.
at it for BAFTA and
Yeah.
DICE.
BAFTA are
Absolutely.
great for low key games.
Yeah.
And they hate giving AAA games Game of the Year.
Didn't
They fucking hate
didn't
it.
Disco Elysium clean up at those award shows
I
as
think
well?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Hades got Game of the Year there as well. Hades probably deserved. In fairness,
Deserved.
opposed to-
Deserved.
close
Hades
to,
was
yeah.
robbed by Last of Us. Absolutely
Oh,
robbed. Absolutely
I will
robbed by
mute
Last
your
of Us
shit
2.
right now. I will mute your shit
Hey, hey,
right
you said BAFTA
Listen,
gave it to him.
I know,
Yeah,
I
they
know, we're
did,
going
yeah.
a little long in the tooth, but I will say, Last of Us 2, as great as it is, Ghost of Tsushima was my game of the year last year, or sorry, that year, and Hades, one of the best roguelites
Ever.
just ever.
Yeah.
That's the game
next
that
to
got me into
Balatro.
roguelites, like single-handedly.
Yeah.
Like single-handedly.
Agreed.
Amazing game. Amazing
I'm
game.
trying to make this a Balatro episode, guys. Gang,
I've noticed that.
you know
I've
how many
noticed that.
times
The
I've said it?
Balatro. It came out in like February.
Unbelievable.
It's like the Balatro episode.
Unbelievable. It's the
Oh god,
Balatro
we'll have
and
like a
fucking
special
Harry
video
Potter
about
episode.
Balatro.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. Unbelievable.
Have you
Right,
played
listen-
Balatro, Donnie?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. That's the problem. That's the problem. He
15
hasn't
bucks
played it.
forever.
He's a
That's
non-believer.
15 quid.
I play
He's
real
a
games.
non-believer.
I play real games, guys. No, you're okay.
Oh my
If
I wanted-
god.
If I wanted to play poker, I would log into my poker stars. I'm good.
It's not even poker.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just,
Plus
I still don't
everything
know
about
how
the
to play
music,
poker.
the sound design of that game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just chef kiss. Amazing. Anyway,
Game of the year.
Good. Game of the year.
we're gonna rent a room and it's just gonna be me, Joe, and Balatro.
It sounds like it, yeah. With a Harry Potter broomstick between you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's the dividing line. Yeah.
Harry, can you find the golden snitch?
Kirk's mom's gonna walk in. Hey guys, what's her? Ah! And then Kirk's like, get out, mom! Can't you see? I have a full flush.
Oh, my
I'm a
God.
real boy. Right. To move us on from that image.
Right,
Thanks
sorry.
for that, Joe. Thanks for that, man. Listen,
That's
I
a
wanted
beautiful
to get you both here. I wanted to talk about Outlaws. I wanted to give some thoughts, impressions, spoiler free, like I keep saying.
You finally
Um,
got the lead reviewer for Pure Dead Gaming on the show.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caught a lot of
yeah.
flack for daring to give this game an 8. What a divisive game, though. I can't remember a game that was as divisive as Outlaws since we mentioned Death Stranding before. Death Stranding. There were a lot of people that were like, Death Stranding's my shit, man.
Yeah.
Like giving it 8s and 8.5s, and there were people that were like, this game's one of the most bonker ass, weird, terrible times I've ever played. Like 6 below. I mean, people were just like, what is this UPS man Amazon simulator? So that was a really divisive game, and this feels a lot like that. Like, we saw 5s and 6s, not all that uncommon, and then we saw 8s and 9s as well. So
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to ask you both that question. Obviously, what did you think of the review, the review score in general, but also some of the reviews? I mean, I have to say, I'm 23 hours in now, and I'm looking at that kind of funny score of 4 out of 10, thinking that's a disgrace of a score. Like, busted ass games get 4s out of
technically
10,
it would have been a
man. What are we
4.5,
doing?
I guess, because they had a 4 and a 5 on that panel.
Right.
Doesn't make it any
Um,
easier, mate.
I mean,
Doesn't make
I-
it any easier.
so-
That's a disgrace of a score to give a game like this.
So I'm
Joe.
gonna defend that score for a second here.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
Kind of funny doesn't have me
Spicy.
on payroll. Neither does Ubisoft. Please.
if
don't
only
yell
they
at me.
did,
Please
huh?
don't.
If only they did.
If only they did. The amount of hate I've gotten for this game is nuts. So I'm actually at Kirk here. I'm like his score is 77. Open Critic seems like is a fair score. I would confidently give all the way up to an 8. The problem with Outlaws is the first 8 hours are incredibly unforgiving. It doesn't illustrate what it wants you to do at certain things well. It doesn't tell you certain mechanics all too well.
Would you say
and it doesn't
unforgiving or
give you-
unintuitive?
Unintuitive, I think, would be
Yeah.
would be a good phrase, because usually there's like games like Bloodborne, which is like it doesn't tell you what to do, it shows you what to do really well. This, it kind of tells you vaguely what to do, but doesn't show you what to do well.
And then it's like, oh, you didn't do it right. You should do that again 5 more times.
exactly
And you're gonna go
It's like
backwards 5 minutes and do it again.
it's a poor swim instructor. I'm drowning at the 2 feet.
Yeah.
Please tell me how to do the breaststroke. So
Through Jello, not water.
exactly. So that's the problem with Outlaws. Out the rip is it just doesn't illustrate itself well, while at the same exact time I got a lot of people coming up to me reviewing it as well, going, "Hey Joe, can you get off Morgana because I can't?" Or yeah, and it's like, no, I got off the planet, and they're like, "Cool, I can't," and I wasted
Dude,
16 hours.
I'm so sorry to interject, but I want to
Yeah.
like kind of fan out about this a little bit because
Sure.
I was having like I was under embargo for this. It's one of the rare situations when for like a very high profile game. Like I've been in on like Banishers
Sure.
and some other like lower. So Pacific Drive was another one that I got it before embargo. So I'm kind of used to getting early access to games, but I'm not used to like something that like I know is going to be like the headliner of that week, like being able to play it the week before. And I was like having those thoughts. I was like, I kept going insane because I couldn't talk to anybody about like why am I still on this planet? Like 8 hours in, I'm supposed to be able to fly. Am I doing the game wrong? Like what's going on? And so like you have like this. I don't know if anyone would experience that, now because you can go and like look on YouTube and stuff and like verify that like yes, this is the experience that other people have had. But I was just in isolation, unable to talk to anybody else about this game. Like,
And I'm like,
why am I still on this planet like 8 hours
right.
in? And like, am I not doing the right thing? Or like, what is going on?
The one thing that, again, it's a poor instructor at what it's trying to tell you. The other thing that the one system that they have in place, which is like the contract system, where you get your abilities from, that should not have been the case, because there's a lot of people going, dude, I don't even have this move that would be in any other stealth game. And I'm like, no, it's there. You just didn't meet that contract, and it's not the reviewer's fault because it's out of the way and don't tell you very well.
You're talking about
hey,
the experts, the
experts,
the people that know like slicing or
exactly
sabotage or like whatever.
gunslinger. Yeah,
because the contracts are more of like the jobs that you do, right?
Yes.
And then you have like brokers that give you those. So just wanted to clarify there.
So like there are issues with this game. Absolutely, it doesn't tell you. It doesn't instruct you well. At
Joe,
all.
just can I just double check something? So, what was the issue you couldn't get off Morgana then? What weren't you doing that you struggled with, or that you then rectified?
So some people just get lost in that world. For me, it took me about, I think about like 4 to 6 hours to get off of it. I was there for a while. I know a lot of people
doing what wrong though that you couldn't get off earlier.
So there's a lot of stealth missions early on that don't give you the tools to succeed all that well. So like, you get Nyx as a distraction to things, but I played the preview build. So I had Nyx early on, and Nyx had a whole bunch of shit he can do. Right. So like, trap alarms so that it shocks them, detonate grenades off of people, blind folks, havoc, all that stuff. I didn't have that. All it is like fetch and hey, go jump on this guy's face, and that was about it.
Which is cool. Which is cool. And so I was struggling on the stealth missions quite a bit. I don't hate the game for what it is. Some people out there are like, it's a stealth game. It's like, yeah, you're a smuggler and a scoundrel. Like, yeah,
it's supposed to like
more stealth, please, more stealth.
Exactly.
That's not a criticism for me.
Absolutely not. So my experience is, in the beginning, the game's all right. The combat itself goes from it's mediocre, like it's fine, to this is very good. It never really hits great until you have unlocked all the things and you have all the tools to your disposal. But by that time, I'm like 20, 30 plus hours in. I'm about to already beat the game. Yeah. And so that was one of my issues with it, is that combat doesn't sing all too well. I want to know, Kirk, though, it seems like you have a different outlook on combat. At least the hand-to-hand stuff, the on-the-ground stuff.
To what end? Like what are you angling at there?
Were you as frustrated with stealth or the gunplay of it as like others were, that type of deal?
I was. I will say, I think the reason that a lot of people hate that this is a stealth game is not because a Star Wars stealth game would inherently be bad. I think it's because like Ubisoft have gone for a type of stealth game that they're not exemplary at making. Like basically, if IO Interactive, who makes the Hitman games, had made this game, it would be amazing, because so much of this game is stealth, and what IO is able to do with Hitman and those maps, and what tools he has at his disposal. I mean, this game would be insane if it was in their hands. That's why I'm excited for whatever they're going to do with the James Bond license.
Yeah.
And so Ubisoft have gone for that type of game. And I remember when in my review, I compared this game to Ghost Recon. I said, if you want to know like what Ubisoft game this is most like, it's not going to be what you think. It's actually Ghost Recon Wildlands, because of the open world, open zone structure, and because pretty much every situation that you encounter would be smoother and more efficient if nobody were to ever see you and you were to be stealthy about it. And Ghost Recon Wildlands is the same way. Like, sure, you can chuck grenades and get a bazooka and go in and just blast everybody. But what Wildlands kind of challenges you to do is basically be big boss in Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, and tag everybody and go in there and take them all down and use a silenced pistol and like whatever. And like there's like clips on TikTok of people doing that for Breakpoint and stuff. And it's like when you pull that off in those Ghost Recon sandboxes, it looks amazing. Like, it looks like footage you would have seen at, like, E3 2012, 2013, when they used to stage the whole, all right, we're going in, you know, like, do all that stuff and, like, show the gameplay, and it's perfectly scripted. Like, that's what it looks like if you pull that off. And, like, I have footage recorded of Outlaws that, you know, because I recorded so much footage for my review, that looks like that. Of, like, it's a room, and there's an officer on this side, and there's 2 stormtroopers on this side, and I pop the officer that's far over there with the stun thing on the pistol that takes like a literal half a year to come back on cooldown. And then I send Nix at one of the stormtroopers, and he's like, what's this thing on my face? And I jump punch the other guy, and then I beat the crap out of him, and then everybody falls to the floor, and it's just like, all right, we're clear. And that feeling is like, yes, I nailed it. Like, I aced it. And there's other times where, you know, the timing's not right, and then that guy sees me shoot that guy, and he's like, what? And then I jump on the face of the other one, and I'm punching on him, whatever, and for whatever reason, it didn't time out right, and the whole station is all hands on deck, and the alarm's going off, and it just feels bad, because it's like, damn, I don't really feel like I did anything wrong there. And it's that inconsistency. It's the same thing that happens in the Ghost Recon games, where it's like, the stealth doesn't feel great a lot of the time. Like, you have the capacity as a player to have really great moments with stealth that can reach the highs of a really, really well-made stealth game like the Hitman series. But the problem is that the percentages on, like, the odds on that happening on a situation-to-situation basis are low. So, like, 5 out of every 7 times that you're interacting with, like, a stealth encounter, it's probably going to go awry, and then you're like, frick. And so somebody was asking me, is the combat bad? Like, does the shooting feel bad? And my answer to that was like, no, not at all. It feels a little bit like mundane to a certain degree. Like, I chucked the difficulty all the way down eventually, because I was like, this is getting frustrating, the amount of times that I'm getting into firefights, and how you just kind of sap up damage. Like, the cover system doesn't feel great, so you're just gonna get hit with blaster bolts.
You get hit a lot.
And the thing is, like, cannon-wise, stormtroopers are terrible shots. So when I chucked the difficulty all the way down, I was like, you know what? This feels more right. Like, they're not hitting me. Like, every once in a while I get hit or whatever. But, like, you know, I'm just running in there, like, take that guy out. It looks like the movies. Like, it felt right. It felt fun. It felt ridiculous in that kind of Star Wars, the hero always prevails type of way.
Yeah.
And so that actually ended up mitigating through playing on the lowest difficulty. I think I still had, like, one of the settings higher, because you can that's actually a good feature of this game, is the accessibility. Lets you, like, customize the difficulty for, like, each individual thing. But I basically made it to where the stormtroopers were, like, awful. Like, they were incompetent, you know? And that made it more fun, because the shooting is not bad, especially when you pick up a gun, which we can get into that, but you can't keep the best guns in the game. You're stuck with the stupid pistol.
Love that.
But especially when you pick up, like, one of the blasters or whatever, and they're usually all littered around the ground, because you're taking out so many stormtroopers, and they all drop their blasters. But when you get in a firefight, you take down, like, 30 dudes. That part is fun enough. Like, it's just mindless, stupid fun. You're just like, I'm shooting stormtroopers. And they're like, shoot over there, blast them. Like, how is that not enjoyable? But the problem is, when you get to that point, you've already gone through the stealth sequence where you felt like you were robbed. that's what gets you into that situation, is that you were going through a stealth sequence that didn't go your way. And so rather than it being like this fun, like bombastic, like she's over there, blast them, and it's like a story piece and you got to fight your way out and it's fun, the thing that's on your mind is, damn, I got robbed in that stealth sequence because I should have been able to nail that. They shouldn't have seen me or sounded the alarm. And so that frustration lingers and it hampers the rest of the experience. So fortunately, I kind of was able to counteract that by just being like, well, whatever, I'll just make them suck. So that whenever I do have to get in a firefight, I'm just like, all right, take that then. I don't care, like whatever. Yeah. And that made it more fun and more goofy and more Star Wars.
And I would say those moments would be awesome if the AI weren't so finicky. Like I've said in my review, they either feel like the next Sherlock Holmes or they feel like the dumbest people you've ever met. They're either completely tunnel visioned or they have eyes in the back of their head. They have supersonic hearing because like they're hearing me in the base. Actually, even better yet, I was literally inside of a cave, inside of a mountain, and people were hearing me traverse. Like there are those moments like of getting caught. Yeah, you're right. It should be like, oh shucks, oh well, and start blasting. But 9 times out of 10,
and then I started blasting.
And then I just started blasting. But like most of the time, it's like, well, it's because something that shouldn't have happened. It wasn't on me, and usually like that accountability, you could be like, fine. Like for example, there was a time I stormed a base. It didn't go right because of me, and that exact thing that you were talking about, Kirk, happened to me, and I was like, oh man, This is what the game's supposed to be. Stealth until you mess up, and then the reward is like, well, the reward's that you're here, friend. And then you start, shooting away, and it's a fun, like, shooting gallery. I feel like there is, on a combat surface level, there's a really good foundation here. Really good. When I go out into space, like the space combat, I love so much because it reminds me of the old Rogue Squadron. I see that behind you, Kirk. Like, it's very reminiscent of that type of game. Sure, is it a bit surface level? Yeah, but at the same exact time, the game's doing so much, and what it's succeeding here at is giving me a good dogfight, and it does that pretty darn well. The only thing that I am not a fan of, and maybe it's my game, maybe there's a weird glitch that's happening, but the speeder fights suck. The speeder fights are...
You can't shoot on the speeder unless you use the Red Dead Redemption Deadeye thing.
Exactly. And that becomes super boring because
I'm frustrating as hell, man.
Towards the late game, I'm constantly getting like bombarded by these speeder, like they don't cease to end.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to pause this.
It's almost quite comical how many just keep coming and coming and coming.
It's like, guys, haven't you gotten the memo? Like, I'm pretty good at this. Leave me alone.
This is one of the few games where I felt like I don't really know that it's worth playing it on any higher difficulty than the lowest one. Like, I hardly ever use story difficulty, but the fact is like this game, the value of it is just experiencing Star Wars. And so, like, there's all these other game mechanics that are going on that are just not well implemented. Like, they're just not well made. And so, like, I don't care if it's a skill issue. I don't care if there would be a payoff for, I fail 4 times and then the 5th time I get it done and it feels really good. I haven't experienced that. Like, it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels frustrating. And so this is, like, one of the very few games where, again, I feel like I never play on the lowest difficulty because that always feels weird. Usually the game is made in a way that actually takes away from the intended experience. So you would not recommend somebody, unless they really struggle with video games or they don't have like a lot of acumen, they're not used to playing games and they don't have just an intuitive understanding of how it works. You'd usually tell them to play on the normal setting because that's the way the game was intended to be experienced. And there will be a difficulty curve and stuff that feels fulfilling when they experience it because of the game mechanics. These game mechanics are so poorly implemented that I genuinely feel like the best way to play this game is just like kind of coasting, because then you just get to experience the goofiness and the fun of the Star Wars-ness of it all. And that's the part we haven't really touched on, Joe, is like, how fucking Star Wars is this game? It's so Star Wars to the core. Like, it feels so awesome. For any Star Wars fan, I don't know how you play this game and you're not like smiling like an idiot unless one of these frustrating things is happening to you. You're just like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, there's Stormtroopers and it's Tatooine and it's this. Yeah.
Once I landed on Tatooine, that's where, like, truthfully, like I was enjoying. Like once I get past it, like once I got some of the abilities, I'm like, okay, this is a good time, great time. Nah, probably not, but like a bad. Like you're right. First, I do want to stress this. I'm never having a bad time with this game.
Mhm.
I'm always having a good, fun time. But when I landed at Tatooine, that's when I was like, oh, this is why Ubisoft was tasked for this game. Because the open world elements, when you get to Mos Eisley, like
Yeah.
as a huge
I
Star Wars
just got
fan,
there today. I've left Tatooine till last on purpose. I've just got there today.
yeah, and that whole world is just a basket of Easter eggs. Some that are obvious that like a casual fan's gonna love, right?
Mhm.
And then down to like some of the hardcore fans like me are going to stop and go, oh shoot, I know where this is from. Like from New Hope to Jedi, even the Book of Boba Fett. Like there is a lot here for you, and even the books, and some of that lore here for you in this game, in Tatooine just alone. It's the worlds are beautiful. They are Star Wars to its core. The cities, I'll have to give this game this credit as well. Some of the best cities in a video game. Like they actually feel like this is a bustling town. This
Very
is
lively. All the
lived
NPCs
in,
feel very
yeah.
organic. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, all the merchants in the street that you're hearing like dozens of conversations at once. Like it's
I love
it's a
that
really
where
good time.
you can listen into conversations and get little clues and
Yeah.
brilliant, really
And-
well done.
And just how the open world's kind of laid out for you as well. You're discovering things. It's not like the Ubisoft checklist that you know.
Yeah.
Like you have contracts that you can go do for the syndicates or whatever. But like you're just leaning at a bar, you hear someone talk about a Sabacc game, and now you're like, oh shoot, okay, maybe I'm gonna go over there.
Being the
one
Balacher
of-
fan
one-
that you are, how many hours have you played Sabacc?
Sabacc's amazing.
Sabacc's pretty fun.
amazing.
I've played
Sabacc's
like
a
more
poor
than a half
man's-
dozen hours of Sabacc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabacc's a poor
amazing.
man's Balacho, but nonetheless,
Sure.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
But
And
see,
it feels
if any-
so Star Wars too, like
Yeah.
it feels grimy. Like it feels like I'm in there betting with the other
Right.
scoundrels.
'Cause it's like we're all cheating
yeah.
here. Like that's
Yeah,
the great part of the
Boss
Sabacc
Knox
is,
got like 8 more chips than everybody else for some reason. Like it's
Right.
great.
and you're just like, oh shoot, I gotta cheat to win. Like cheating's part of the mechanic, which I love.
Yeah.
Like they understood the tone of this game. They understood completely. I think that's the one thing they get right so well. It's like you're a smuggler, you're a kind of piece of trash person, and go be a piece of trash. Like hell yes, I will absolutely do this. Do a little good, do a little mostly
Well-
bad, and see where it lands.
I do want to bring this up though. That is kind of what the game is pushing you to do, but then the campaign feels like it's trying to say something completely different. And they
Yeah.
really don't jive well for me. Like, you're totally right. I think that the world that they've created is like, yeah, go be scum and villainy. Like, go get weird with it. Go do jobs for the Hutts and, like, get in good with them. And, like, whatever. And then the game's like, all right, you naive person that, like, doesn't know what's going on. Time to have things happen to you. And you just, oh, man, you just get wrapped up in the craziest stuff. And everybody stabs you in the back. And that's just awful. And it's like, what do you mean? I was just, like, a dope smuggler. Like, I literally just climbed the ranks of Jabba the Hutt's smuggler force, and they now regard me as like one of their best agents. What are we talking about here? Like, it doesn't fit.
So that's kind of what I love about it as well. Like and this is something I've echoed as well. It's like every time with that story, when I get betrayed, I feel like in Arrested Development every time Gene Parmesan shows up and like the mom just freaks out. She's like, Gene! Like I'm always surprised for some dumb reason. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting backstabbed. This is great. Or I'm doing the backstabbing, which is fun. There's not enough of those moments where it's like you get to kind of create the path that you want to go on. Yeah,
It's only in the syndicate system, which it's very. I was so engaged by that early on, like the ability to kind of make decisions. I mean, they give you actual core missions where you're genuinely, like, for instance, so as not to spoil it, there is a mission that you do that is not a part of the main campaign, where you start out as an operative for one of the syndicates, and then they've got a handler that talks to you and they says, you're going to go in there, you're going to infiltrate, and you're going to steal this data or whatever. And then you get in there, and then the agent's like, hey, just so you know, I'm actually working for these other guys. So are you going to do this for us, or are you going to do this for the people that initially hired you? Like, I'm a double agent, basically.
Yeah.
And then you got to choose which one you're going to go with. And, like, that stuff is so cool. And there's, like,
That's
actual
cool.
ramifications for that in, like, the faction ranking system and stuff. That feels cool. Like, that feels more impactful to me than the campaign stuff that doesn't matter. Because it actually, like, allows you to kind of forge your own story. And I thought that was when the game was, like, running on all cylinders.
Yeah, the game's the weakest when it introduces, or when the rebels are in it. Like, it's like, no, I don't want to hear about the good or bad. Blah, 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 blah. I want to do a little bit of good and bad. Like, you know, there was a part where, like, you either, you're talking to this Imperial, like, you have a deal on the table. It's like, you could cut them out of it, or they could be a part of it. And I was like, man, if I cut them in on the bribe, then I'm kind of a piece of trash. And it's like, I'm like, but I'm not a good person. I'm just trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a piece of shit. So like that was, and I was like, yes, this is like, it's fun. So, you know, there are parts where you're right. The story is kind of like by the numbers. It's not all too memorable. I think some of the characters are interesting. I think Kay has a lot of promise to her. And I think her voice.
By the way, I really like Kay as a character. I think she's awesome. I think it's a really, really well designed. I'm enjoying playing as Kay Vess again. You know, I can't be arsed talking about the internet hate over that, but
right. No,
I really like her.
No, yeah, I don't mind her chin either. So like she does a great job. I think that, like, you know, there are some things in the sound booth where I'm like, that's a choice I wouldn't have taken, but I've grown to really like her. I think she has a lot of promise. A lot of the cast and crew that you meet, though, other than like ND5, it's like, take it.
ND5 sucks. ND5
Oh, really?
sucks.
You don't like him?
No, he's terrible.
I feel like
they have no chemistry whatsoever. He's not introduced into the game until like 8 to 10 hours in. He's introduced extremely inorganically. They don't forge any type of relationship between the two of them. Like, so it's the false advertising in play here of like him being centerpiece, like with her. It gives people like Cassian Andor and K2SO vibes, and that's not what's happening here, like at all. And he sucks, and he's robotic, and I can't spoil the story, but like
he's robotic. He's a droid.
Right, but he doesn't like. That's the thing about the droid. Like in Solo and in Rogue One, the droids, respectively, that are like the companions of the main characters, they have a lot of personality. ND5 is a wet blanket. He sucks.
So I think like my problem with him is you're right. I think the chemistry between him and Kay are off. I don't think there should have been a mission that kind of gels them together more. They do that very later on, but I'm like, why do I care for ND5 the way that Kay is? Like, there's not a reason for that. But like how he's introduced, I loved it because the one character.
Oh, well, just the scene is badass, but I'm just saying, like, narratively, they don't do the work to set up.
Yes,
I mean, basically, he's just like a mercenary. He's just owned or employed by another guy who we have no background for, and the guy is like, hey, you broke into the really rich guy that's pissed at you's place. No, that's the beginning of the game. You broke into the really rich guy's place. I would like you to break into it again. Well, they talked about how you're going to do a heist or whatever. She breaks into a mansion at the very beginning of the game, and ultimately the premise of the game is she's eventually going to, she may not, she's intending upon breaking into that place. Yeah, again, because she's the only one who's done it before. And so this guy's like, you're the only one who's done it before, and I want to enlist you to get a crew to do it. And it's his droid, and he's like, I'm going to have my droid babysit you and make sure that you don't F up. And that's their relationship. And it sucks, because he's like an overbearing parent. He, like, literally when you're flying around through space, he's like, careful, Kay, watch out, Kay. He's literally, like, nagging you, like, as you're getting into dogfights and, like, hitting asteroids. He sucks. He's a terrible character. I hate him.
There's no need for
and they should have totally designed him differently. Like, it's terrible. Terrible. Nix is the homie. Nix is awesome.
Now, Nix, here's the thing. Nix, I will die for. Nix is my boy. Nix
Yeah.
is probably one of the best companions outside of like what Star Wars has done. Like, what is it? BD1? Love
Yeah.
BD. He's great. Ubisoft has also nailed it. Nix is just such a special boy. He's so good. He gives you a little high five. He's the best.
How great are those little dinner scenes, by the way? I fucking love them.
Oh my God,
they're
every time
so
I'm like,
They're
I
so
man.
weird too. Like they're
I
just so
love them.
awkward and weird. It's so
No,
funny.
they're no awkward. I think they're
Well, just
they're really nice moments.
the like heavy rain of it all, like with the quick time
Yeah,
and
the-
stuff.
with the
Like
quick
it's like
time,
kind of
yeah.
weird. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
funny.
I
to
loved
me.
it.
I love it.
loved
I
them.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Monster Hunter, eat your heart out, because this space pineapple is dope. But yeah, like, so like Nyx is the best part. And I think Nyx is also the best character, and that doesn't speak ill to like Kay, because I think again she shows great promise. I think just Nyx is so strong.
Yeah, he's great.
And I think it's because you have a connection to him on the gameplay level as well as story level as well as side missions. But like overall, like the open world is great. I think that's where.
But can I just before you expand on the open world, but am I the only one that thinks this is one of the worst maps they've ever played in any video game? It's fucking to navigate your way and try and find where you are on the map and get from A to B is hideous.
No, I
am
think Starfield
literally
is a lot
hitting the-
worse.
I'm
I was gonna
hitting
say
the-
Fallen Order takes that
Yeah.
like.
I am
it's-
literally if I'm in a town wherever I am to try and get from A to B, and I can't remember exactly where it is, I am hitting that pause menu every 8 seconds trying to figure out where the fuck
It's
I
a
am,
it's
where
a
I'm
step
going.
backward for Ubisoft, I think,
Oh, it's awful.
and that's like
really
a
bad
broader.
design.
That's a broader assessment I would make. I would be interested if Joe agrees with me, but I think a lot of the problems in this game stem from the fact that Ubisoft is potentially aware of the fact that they have a formula that they roll out time and time again. And they absolutely were like, let's try and do something different, because
Yeah,
if we
scale it
do
back.
what we did with Avatar and slap a Star Wars paint scheme on top of, our Far Cry or our
Cry.
Assassin's Creed or whatever formula, people are not going to like that. Like, we need to make a new kind of game for Star Wars. And so what they tried to do is swing for the fences and aim very far outside of their comfort zone, very far outside of their wheelhouse. And unfortunately, that's stuff that they're just not super practiced at. So like they're used to giving you very like, hey, it's over here. Hey, it's over here. And like when they're not doing that, when they're trying to do like the Elden Ring thing of like, I don't know, go figure it out, like explore, like whatever. They're not as good at that. Like they don't have a repertoire of that, or they don't have a repertoire of the type of stealth that's in this game that's mostly like gun based, and that being like very efficient for the player, and you having all the tools and resources that you need at your disposal. They're not incredibly good at story based like narrative games like Uncharted, and they clearly tried to aim a little bit for like the Uncharted type of story based experience, like you're going on a journey with this character. They're not super great at that. So like there's a lot of things that they tried to do with this game to get outside of the box of like what is a Ubisoft game. And I feel like in a lot of ways that kind of like backfired. Like it's commendable to see them do that, because I do think that like a lot of what gives Outlaws its charm is that they tried to take Star Wars and do something different with it that would do service to Star Wars. And like, so you see that in a lot of small ways, like you see the attention to detail and the effort that they put in, but then some of the fundamental gameplay mechanics, it's like, this is a little bit amateurish. Like this isn't very well executed or implemented, and it's affecting my gameplay experience. And like, that does rub off on the player. And that's why I think a lot of people have bounced off on it and are so like frustrated with it to the extent that they would give it like a 5. Cause they're like, I played so many other games that have done this type of thing and did it so much better. Why are you making me do a stealth mission, 5 times? And if I get seen at all, I have to redo it. Or why is this mission set up to where if I stray this far away enough from an NPC, I've got to go back 3 minutes?
It's kind of like
why are we doing that?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Spider-Man 2. It's like the elements of Mary Jane. They're like, listen, we heard you didn't like those Mary Jane elements. This time we gave her a gun. It's like,
We're gonna give you more.
exactly.
Give her a gun.
But
Yeah.
no, I didn't have much of an issue with the map compared to other games. I would say there are certain points where I'm like, Come on, man, this is annoying. Like, there's one ledge I have no idea how to get to. Give me a deeper zoom, and I think that would fix it for me. But other than that, like, I honestly, I think the open world's great. I agree with a lot what you say, Kirk. Of like, they are getting out of their comfort zone. They're attempting to do something different, and for their first attempt, it's solid. Like,
yep, I agree.
You know, I hate to say like, oh, the sequel's gonna be great, but like, I feel like the sequel's gonna be great.
So do I. Yeah,
like,
no, so do I.
Like, there's enough here to go, okay, no, I see with the vision, and I want you to continue it. You know, to me, the world is something that I keep getting lost in, and if there's just certain elements that I'm not gelling with, it's not like I'm never at one point going, I'll lie. There's one point. There's not like two examples of mine where I'm like, this sucks and I hate this game. It's like, no, there's some finicky AI. There's like some troubleshooting mechanics for sure, but the overall package is good. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's enough as a huge Star Wars fan of like, I'm just getting like, I got lost in Tatooine for 8 hours just because. Like, you know, like, I'm just having fun going to mission or running into stuff. And then like I started going out into space for realsies, and I'm like, there's actually quite a bit of stuff here to do.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
find
It's
all
not
the
as
markers. Yeah.
If I could change one thing about the review, is that I was pretty dismissive of the space combat and bounced off of it, and I still have some gripes with that. But I was just kind of like, it wasn't for me, and I didn't like it. And now that I've had like, because you kind of have to rush the whole, like, at a certain point you have to stop playing the game and start like actually producing the review. And so like space was something that kind of didn't get as much attention and really hands-on time for me. Like, it was kind of just like what they had me do for the actual missions, and then like a little bit extra time, like maybe an hour or 90 minutes or so. And then like once I was able to kind of just sit down and just mess about and do whatever I wanted, the space part started to get a little bit more enjoyable, and the controls got a little bit easier. I will say I am still pissed that you can't get back on that space station, the Imperial space station. Like, I'm annoyed that that's just a one-off for a mission. Come on, Star Wars Battlefront did that in like 2006. What are we doing? Let me get on. Let me invade their base from space.
It's like, to me, every time I play it, I'm like, I'm just having a whole lot of fun. I hate giving this man credit, but my friend of me, Luke Lore, always says like, swimming in sevens, and sevens are good. You should play them. It's like, sevens are good, and you should play them. And like, this is definitely one of those examples of like, again, it does some things really well, and it does some things poor, but at the end of the day, I fall on, man, this is like one of the best sevens I've ever played. Like, this is just a really good time. Yep. So like, I've had a blast with it. I definitely recommend it. And you know, again, I'm not, my view, I was talking about this with a friend, speaking of Starfield, I saw a lot of creators back in the day really upset at the fact that Starfield wasn't getting 9s and 10s, they were getting 7s and 8s, and they're like, oh, well, we should be doing reviews that too to counteract some of these awful reviews. And I would say, if your point of the review is to be anti the other review, you're not doing a good review. So I see the sentiment, and every time I'm thinking about a game, whether it's for review, impression, or just playing it, it's not that those thoughts aren't at this, you know, they're not, I'm not thinking about them. They're not at the center. It's like, when those things happen, I go, oh, I could see what this person is saying, and I can agree or disagree. You know, the one thing that I love about Outlaws won't be the thing that someone else loves about it, and that's totally fine. So like, as much as I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't give this game a 4, because fours mean something very different to me, right? In the internal score that I have in my noggin. So I've quite enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws. I think it's worth a day one pickup. The big old meaty patch that, like, you know, some early access folks were having, kind of fixed many of things.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I was going to address that, Joe, because that patch really fucked me off to the point I tried to get a refund from PlayStation, which was a waste of fucking time, because we have the worst service imaginable. But because the problem is that when that patch went live, when I heard about the patch, I tried to get on my machine to turn off auto updates. It already done the update, hadn't it? Of course it had. And problem is, I was 8 hours in, and I'm like, I'm no fucking starting again. I'm not replaying from 8 hours. If I was 2 hours in, 3 hours in, or see if I was loving the game, not just, I'm enjoying it, but see if I was in love with the game, I probably would have. If this was Death Stranding, I'd have restarted. That's fine. I'm not redoing 8 hours, so I'm literally playing the game with a doom clock. I'm waiting till I get to the point when my game busts, because I don't know when it's going to happen. Because what I didn't like was it's the first world.
Yeah. Did you get off the first world?
Yeah.
You're fine.
So I'm safe. Oh, excellent. Okay, that's fine. That's that anxiety over there.
Well, the Xbox Era guy reviewer couldn't get off of his ship in Akiva. So that could be a problem.
Okay, maybe that's it. But didn't a patch fix that one for you, right?
I'm nearly 25 hours in, and I'm still
But maybe you have to restart your game for it to be fixed. I don't know.
Fucking better not. It better not. I just won't go back to Akiva then.
Right.
I've had that hanging over my head that this could bust at any time.
Oh, so yeah, if you've already gone there, you might be fine. I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm okay then. But I must admit,
when it comes to early access, never buy early access to anything. Is my general.
Yeah. The bit that annoyed me most about
Concord.
that whole.
Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke.
The bit that annoyed me most about that whole saga about the 1.02 patch and restarting your game was, they put it out to an email. That's fine. But you only got that email if you're a press or if you're signed up to Ubisoft, which not everyone is. People bought that game and don't have Ubisoft accounts. For me, if it was as serious as that, there should have been a splash screen. Why is there no splash screen? That's why I took the assumption that maybe it's not that serious if there's not a splash screen. Because you're literally sending out to an email people have got accounts with you and bought the game. Well, what catchment is that? If it's that serious, this should be a splash screen. That's why I hedged my bets that my game would be okay, but...
That's fair. That's fair.
We'll see. Imagine I get to the final quest, 40 hours in and it fucks up. Oh, nice. Got the steelbook there.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a steelbook and I have to have it.
Absolutely. That's the big Star Wars fan. I wouldn't expect anything less.
But is there a name on it? Come on, say it. Center it. There you go. See, look, it's on the spine like every game should. If you have a steelbook and the name of the game is not on the spine, that's a failure of a steelbook. That's a bad steelbook, and I won't buy the steelbook.
Well said.
There you go.
Well said.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, any more closing thoughts on Outlaws?
I think it does things in a Star Wars game that no other Star Wars game has done. Like, I think that's the main selling point for it. I'm not like Joe.
It is a great Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Regardless of anything else what you think, it is I'd say it's a fantastic Star Wars game.
Yeah, we're often spoiled by or maybe we look at like Star Wars games a little bit like with the rose tinted glasses, but guys, Jedi Survivor is the best Star War game I've ever played. That game sits at like an 80 something or open critic, right? It's like Star Wars games are usually good. They're and as a huge Star Wars fan, they're never my game of the year, but they're always really good times.
I think we got spoiled by Hogwarts Legacy. Like, Hogwarts Legacy was literally a game that was so good that you not having any experience with that IP were like, I got to get invested in this IP. Yep. And it's interesting that you said that happened, because I had speculated that before. I was like, I think Hogwarts Legacy is so good that if you weren't a Harry Potter fan, you could play it and you could acquire love for Harry Potter. So I'm interested that I was actually right, that you're a test case for that. But I don't think that Outlaws can achieve the same thing. And so I think because we got Legacy last year, people are kind of holding it to that standard, and it's just not the same. Like, it's just a fantastic romp through a galaxy far, far away. Like, that's what it is. It is Shadows of the Empire if you made it in 2024. Like, it's just a debaucherous time.
Give me a Dash Rendar game. What are we even doing?
Cal Katarn, baby.
Come on, dude. But I think that's what the Jedi Fallen Order and the Jedi games are. It's like that is what the quintessential Star Wars game is. For most people, Star Wars is lightsabers and space wizards, and not so much the seedy underbelly of spice running. So I think you're right. And as I'm playing this, I've said 2 or 3 times to myself, because I'm a loser, I go, this is my Hogwarts Legacy. Like this is because
That's good,
this
man.
is the part of
That's
Star
good.
Wars that excites me the most. Is like if you put a gun to my head, you go, "What's your favorite era of Star Wars?" It's the Mandoverse because I love everything about it. So like that's the vibe this game gives me. It's like, ooh, we're teasing that Mandoverse. That's what I'm digging. So again, I really enjoy it. Really enjoy it.
Excellent. Good. No, listen, I'm glad that we're all relatively positive because, yeah, like I said, I think it's a good game. I think from what I've played 25 hours in, an 8 out of 10 is a good score. I think that's where the game is. You know, there's times that I think it's, okay, it's a 7 now, and times I'm like, this is a 9. So I think an 8 is pretty spot on. So
Great Black
I'm
Friday purchase. I've been saying, if for people who are
yeah.
like, I'm not sure I like Star Wars. It doesn't seem like the game is made quite well enough for me to go out and spend $70. Hey man, you know it's gonna be on sale in November, so
Yep.
go pick it up.
Probably.
You'll have
Listen,
a
it's
fun
it's
time. If
it's
you're a Star Wars
Ubisoft.
fan,
It'll be on sale next week.
yeah. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's not like you'll be having fun every moment that you're playing the game. There's frustrating moments, but I was always able to find the fun. Like they've
Yeah.
made this game to where it gets out of its own way enough in the way that other Ubisoft games don't. That yeah, you might have some things where like you kind of have to get kited through. Okay, let's get done with this. Like all right, I gotta go here and sneak in here, I guess, or whatever. And then it's like all right, go do whatever you want. Talk to whatever contract broker you want. Level up your faction rep with the Hutts or with the Pikes or whoever, or go out in space or go to Tatooine. Like do whatever you want, and like you're always able to find the fun. Like whatever you want to experience in this universe that they've made, you can go do that. And that's just it. That's so fantastic for a Star Wars fan. We just haven't had that. Like the games that we've had that have been really good, if you think about them, it's the Jedi Knight like Kyle Katarn games. It's Shadows of the Empire. It's the Revenge of the Sith game, Republic Commandos, the old Rogue Squadron games, the all of the games for the original trilogy that were on the PlayStation 1.
Tarkasi Arena.
Yeah, like those all kind of hit on different aspects of the Star Wars universe, but they don't encompass a Star Wars universe. They don't create a Star Wars universe. Really, the only Star Wars universe we ever gotten was made out of Lego. So if you want to live in a Star Wars universe, this is the game that allows you to do that. It has a lot of flaws, but it's the only one that provides that experience. And for that reason alone, like it's worth playing as a Star Wars fan because you're gonna have fun. At some point, you're gonna be like, "This is so freaking cool. I'm loving this."
Yep. Agreed.
Likewise.
Gentlemen, thank you both very, very much. We had a couple of tangents at the start there, but
Had to do it.
Yeah.
That was good. Joe, listen, plug PS Trophy Room, please, which I've just kind of done for you. And Kirk, sign us off with your YouTube account, and then we can get the fuck out of here.
Alrighty, well listen, you can follow me over at Mr. Badbit on the Bad Place. You can follow me at Mr._Badbit on Threads. You can follow the show, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, where each and every Wednesday night over at youtube.com/PS Trophy Room. Me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation Live, and on podcast feeds like Apple Podcasts and Spotify the very next day. And yeah, we're also doing an Astrobot giveaway as well. I'll link to that wherever. But yeah, it's on I think it's my pinned tweet. So yeah, go follow that, get involved, go have a chance to win a copy of Astrobot, the deluxe version, because I want you to rock the Yarnum Hunter outfit. Understand that. Digital, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's where you can follow us. The Trophy Room PlayStation Podcast. Go check it out, please.
Woo! Thanks, Joe. Kirk, watch new video games.
Yeah, what's new video games on YouTube? If you're having trouble finding it, search for it with under channels. Don't just type it in the search bar. And yeah, you can probably search for First Descendant review or Concord review. It's probably gonna come up. It's the one with the big 8.5. Probably most disliked review of the year, maybe. And yeah, I'm a frequent contributor reviewer for Pure Dead Gaming. I've loved the opportunity to do that. So plan on continuing to be featured on the website as well. I suppose a Concord review is coming for the site, but it's kind of just gonna be rehashing what I said in my video, but we want to get that on the site for anybody that's just, exclusively a reader. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter. My @'s here for the viewers, but if you're a listener, it's at Warmer Gray, so it's like warm gray but warmer. And yeah, I hope to be welcome back here again at some point and continue contributing to Pure Dead Gaming and publish my reviews.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone who listens. Again, this will be uploaded to podcast channels, where I know most of you do listen and still do like. So, yes, the old podcasts are still big for us. So, thank you all very much. And the usual reminder: you can get the main Pure Dead Gaming podcast every Friday. You get this one fortnightly, and once a month you get Pure Dead Xbox, and their latest episode just went live Friday as well, I think. So, check that out also. And listen, everyone, thank you very much.